Despite their proximity in history and geography, the cultures of these two nations have evolved in different directions. What are the differences between Americans and Dominicans? You're about to find out. In talking to my friends and family back home, they said doing a video on the difference between these two cultures would be interesting. I agreed, and decided to reach out to Dominicans and longtime expats to get a better perspective. Their reaction was not positive, and I can see why. Just as in America there are cultural differences between boomers and zoomers, the rich and the poor, and from city to city, there are the same internal cultural differences amongst Dominicans. This video essay is painting with a very, very broad brush, and overlooks important nuances for the sake of time and entertainment value. There have been many times where I am walking down the street, and a Dominican will say, "Hola Americano." How could they tell that I am an American? It couldn't be from skin color alone, as there are many Europeans who also live here, not to mention there's a sizable amount of light-skinned Dominicans. One of the most common answers that I received is that Americans look at things by moving their head and neck, whereas other people tend to look at things just by moving their eyes. This was fascinating, as I've never heard this being an exclusive American trait. Another common answer is that Americans hate to litter. In American culture, it is mainstream to shame and punish those who litter. By far, the biggest behavioral difference between Dominicans and Americans is socialization with strangers. In America, it is very rare to strike up a conversation with a stranger walking by. In fact, it is often considered suspicious. Such behavior tends to be from people trying to sell you something, or trying to convert you to their religion.
Excuse me, we'd like you to have this flower.
Excuse me, sir, would you...
Donation to the Reverend Moon.
Juice for Jesus?
Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism?
Help Jerry's kids.
Oh, yeah.
Scientology.
Or nuclear power?
The opposite is true in Dominican culture. It is very normal to dive into a conversation with a complete stranger on the street. Even if there is a thick language barrier, the conversation can proceed with simple gestures and pointing. Americans have an international reputation of being obnoxiously polite. In fact, there are probably many Americans watching this thinking, "Not true, we are not polite enough." This just shows how polite Americans actually are. When told that we are too polite, our immediate reaction is to reject this claim and strive to be even more polite. By polite, I mean we Americans always say, "Please, thank you, may I, is it okay if," etc. When crossing paths with a fellow American, we tend to both yield to each other, creating an awkward dance that we're all too familiar with. To Dominicans and most non-Americans, this is annoying and a waste of time. Just say what you want to say and get to the point without the redundant etiquette.
Please would be nice.
Come again?
I said a please would be nice.
Get it straight, Buster. I'm not here to say please. I'm here to tell you what to do.
I don't mean disrespect, okay? I respect you. I just don't like people barking orders at me, that's all.
If I'm curt with you, it's because time is a factor. I think fast, I talk fast, and I need you guys to act fast if you want to get out of this. So, pretty please, with sugar on top. Clean the car.
Dominicans, on the other hand, tend to use very affectionate language. Common phrases used between strangers include mi amor, cariño, and amigo. Dominicans also use the word mijo or mija more liberally than Mexicans I know. There's not really an English equivalent of mijo or mija. It is a term of endearment the elderly use when addressing a younger person. From what I understand about Mexican culture, this word is usually reserved between grandparents and grandchildren, or an equivalent type of bond. I've already been called mijo a few times by Dominicans on the first time we've met, even when the age difference is maybe only 10 or 20 years. Of the dozens of elderly Mexicans I've known and worked with, only one called me mijo, and that was after we've worked together for years. Economics is a topic that I really wanted to avoid for the sake of keeping things lighthearted, but many of the Dominicans and longtime expats told me that economics is a main cause for cultural differences. To put it simply, Americans have more money, but Dominicans have more time, and this is reflected to a large degree in their respective cultures. For example, Dominicans tend to live in the moment, whereas Americans always have to plan things due to their busy work schedules. Income has also played a role in the value of family relationships. In America, it is common to forego family time for the sake of career advancement. However, I have been told that younger Dominicans are adopting a similar lifestyle that prioritizes career growth over time with the family. Economics also carries over to the online digital culture. In the DR, most local businesses and organizations don't have a website, and sometimes not even a Facebook page. This would be extremely rare in the United States. If you want to know what a restaurant's hours are or what's on their menu, you often have to go there in person. In America, it is common to investigate a company's online reputation before making a purchase, even if it's for a minute dollar amount. In the DR, word of mouth is still king. Here is another topic that I wanted to avoid, but both Dominicans and Americans that I've talked to are curious as to how the other is reacting to the pandemic. Just by saying COVID, the algorithm gods become punitive. So if you're enjoying the video thus far, why not go ahead and hit like and subscribe to help appease these merciless algorithm gods. America's response to COVID has been dominated by political tribalism. Why? Because everything in America is dominated by political tribalism. It's just the way it is. My conservative friends would probably say that the response to COVID should be decided by individuals and not the government. Wearing a mask? Whether a business should be open or not? And travel is at the discretion of the individual and business owner, not the government. My liberal friends probably think the opposite. It is the government's duty to provide and enforce guidelines. They tend to think that people who refuse to wear masks or socially distance are selfish and endangering the population. Why don't conservatives and liberals talk out their differences and create a unified strategy to fight the pandemic, you may ask? Oh, my sweet summer child, that's not how we do things in America. We love to villainize each other based on political affiliation, even when facing the worst pandemic in over a century. It's just the way it is.
Come on, you coward! Say the truth! Coward! You're a coward! You blame everybody else!
I have no respect for women who voted for Trump, okay?
Yeah, me too.
I think so poorly of them, and the reason why is because, look, I don't think that you're a single issue voter. I just think you're dumb, okay? I think you're f***ing dumb.
The winning that outsider candidate Donald Trump promised us, not the anarchy Democrats, aka demon rats, want to impose on us. The tactics of these demon rats and Trump-hating leftists are backfiring.
Pictures and video depicting comedian Kathy Griffin holding the bloody, decapitated head of President Trump are no joking matter for the Secret Service.
The Dominican response has also been divided, although along very different fault lines, and not nearly as much as civilian-on-civilian hostility. In La República Dominicana, the divide is along class and income. While 88% of Dominicans have access to electricity, large-scale blackouts are very common. those who cannot afford backup generators are left in the dark, both literally and in terms of access to news. Access to electricity becomes much more difficult in rural areas. Because of this, some Dominicans are unaware of the full impact of the virus. In these electrical deserts, gossip and superstition control popular belief. The government has imposed a nationwide curfew. Currently, everyone must be home by 7 p.m. on weekends and 9 p.m. on weekdays. This has led to some criticism. Particularly, there have been critiques that this curfew was not clearly explained in rural communities. To be fair to the government, they don't exactly have an unlimited amount of resources. There has also been frustration from areas that rely on tourism. The curfew has created serious economic anxiety, especially since November to February are the busy season. Very few of these businesses are eligible for any type of government bailout. Even well-off Dominicans have critiques about the curfew. There are many stories of underground parties happening after curfew that lead to mass arrests. In some social circles, it is even popular to mock the government and find ways to defy the rules. This existed well before the Corona curfew. Of course, not all Dominicans are critical of the curfew. I've spoken to many who support it and understand it is temporary. They also express scorn at these clandestine parties. I've also talked to a few expats who think the Dominican curfew model is favorable to the ones being used in North America and Europe. Instead of shutting down everything, reopening, and then shutting down again, the curfew allows businesses to proceed during the daytime, but you'll have to enjoy happy hours at home. In their view, this is a better compromise between public safety and economics. Of course, this isn't exactly apples to apples. There are many other variables that contribute to the spread of corona other than just government policies. These uncontrollable variables have actually benefited the DR, as they have much better COVID numbers than many of the first world countries. There are many more differences between Dominicans and Americans. This video is just scratching the surface. What differences have you noticed? Let us know in the comments section. I also want to wish a very happy birthday to my niece Aairah. I wish I could have celebrated with you in person. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, let me know by liking and subscribing. And as always, thank you for watching.